Let's take a look at Mawson Infrastructure Group Inc. Ticker MIGI, top trending stock on StockTwits today. So I got the linear chart pulled up here. By the way, if you look at the actual chart, like it says that this was trading at $460,000. It shows on the log chart. On the linear chart, it's just kind of broken. I don't know if it was a SPAC or something like that. You see that on SPAC sometimes. Anyways, I'm just looking to do some TA here. So what I'm going to do is start by connecting the bottoms here. And I'm looking for the symmetry in the stock. That's what we do here on this channel. So I'm going to connect it, the bottoms to the tops. Okay. Now notice we have a touch point here and here for the bottoms. We have a touch point here for the top. And that would imply that we're looking for that second touch point at some point up here, you know, depending on when it gets there. This is a linear chart. If you just follow the line that I just drew, you know, it'll take us to like February of next year, $41. That's not really technical. I'm just saying you often do look for that second touch. When we split this into quarters, you'll notice that price has kind of respected these levels at times, at least like right here. There was that touch right there. You've seen it kind of bounce and play off of these levels. When it departs, like for instance, on this sell-off, when it first bounced off that level, should I zoom in? I'm just showing you guys the significance here. Like initially, it bounces off of this level right here. Rallies, I don't even know how much. Let's see. Rallies up as much as 27%. And this is not like a high beta stock or anything like that. So I'm sure these swings are probably more common, but you know, it bounces initially. And then when it sells through, and notice when it sells through, it backtests it. Like if I really zoom in, guys, it's kind of a technical, you know, masterpiece if you knew what levels to look for, right? Tag, bounce, breakthrough, backtest, sell off. I mean, when that backtest rejected right there, guys, your bias had to have been to the downside. Just showing you guys that this stuff's a lot less random than it may seem. When we do the same exercise, now we're looking at the expansion angle. So what I did here, again, same thing, just connected this top with these tops right here and pulled it down to the bottom here to encapsulate the bottom. Now that bottom, you know, may not be the bottom, but we're just treating it as the lowest point that the stock's traded at thus far. And then let's do the same exercise here. Split this into quarters. Do that, and just look for clues. So look for how price played off of now a kind of a cross section. The last one was declining. This one obviously is an expansive. You know, this is kind of the expansion angle on the linear chart of MIGI currently. You know, and that can change, but they would need to do something to change. So look at the ways that price plays off of these levels. You know, the tops obviously we got this rejection here, double rejections there. This broke above, it tested. You can actually split this further into quarters. That looks like it hit about the midline there. Then it got one last back test, rejection. And as soon as it rejected here off of, you know, $28, the bias should have been that it was going to sell off. Now, how far it sells off to? Well, I mean, you actually could have found your way to these length of lanes, if you will. You could have found your way there. I'm pretty certain. So you would have just added one more there, and your bias would have been that it sells off to $3.63 from $29. Pretty insane. But look at how it was respected. And you did get the bounce that you would expect from there as well. Now, where is this headed? Well, the linear chart would say probably around the midpoint. On my chart, there is a 400-day moving average kind of floating around there. It doesn't mean it has to get there. I mean, this is less technical. I'm just kind of giving you a general price target right there. Honestly, if we jump over here to the log chart, and I'm just going to connect the bottoms here. Okay, let's do that and see where it takes us. Connect these bottoms here. All right, and then connect the tops. And based on the log chart that you see here in front of us, and usually when it's on the log scale, I like to label it. I don't know if that really matters, but at least you guys know what you're looking at here. On the log chart, we could say that this rally could push slightly higher. By the way, on the log scale, like these little pixels of my mouse moving up may not seem like a lot, but that's the difference between trading at like $15.70, which was the recent top, and this on the weekly time frame. If we switch to daily, if you switch to daily, check that out. It actually rejected perfectly off the midpoint there. So I would not be going long MIGI. I would not be longing it there at, you know, 1570. Definitely ran into resistance there, but if it's going to start trading above that, I would definitely say bias is to the upside. Kind of crazy, but it would support going as high as like 125. And you know what we can do here is split this into quarters, get a more realistic price target for everybody watching. But again, though, you wouldn't want to, not financial advice, you wouldn't want to go long beneath the resistance, right? You'd rather see a close above, in my opinion. So maybe a daily close above like that 1570 level. And this is a declining line, guys. So like if you, you know, like 1570 today will be a different price point tomorrow, just so you know. But yeah, like maybe your first target would be around the 43s, and after that, 123. Another thing I like to look for is, do these charts have a pulse? Like, is there like a kind of repeating cyclical time frame where you can expect big moves? Now, this stuff is not something I would actually trade off of, but I would at least let it inform your bias. So I noticed that you kind of have to zoom in here, but back in October 2021, and I honestly worked backwards to get here. Now I'm zoomed in more than I was, so don't treat this like an exact science, but basically, like when I say 5-15 days, guys, I'm doing this pretty quickly. I'm not like, I don't even have a position in this stock, right? So just so you know, so I'm not like actually using this as a trade indicator, but it's interesting for patterns because you do see this repeat kind of often. I'm calling it the pulse. MIGI appears to have like a 515-day pulse, so you'll notice that like this first pulse, and I measured it backwards. So I started over here on the right-hand side and I worked back to the left, but you'll notice that like we came into that pulse and it ran up 70% in 5 days. The next pulse right here, it ran up 800% in 28 days. This pulse right here, I don't know how high it's ultimately going to go, but again, so far, 293%, which is basically a 4x, just shy of a 4x in 4 days. Okay, so I would honestly, like, I would set an alert for 500 days from where we're at today, so we'd be way out here in 2020, late 2027. But if you believe in patterns and whatnot, and then you'd also marry that up to the charts that we just looked at here with the channels and whatnot, and look for clues, like, is it running into what should serve as support, if it's in a sell-off, or would it run into what should be resistance if its price has been appreciating rapidly. The last thing I wanted to look at here is the monthly RSI. So the highest, I mean, you can go higher time frame, I guess, technically, but like for me, this is the highest time frame that I like to look at. And all I'm going to do is just draw a trend line on the monthly RSI. Now, you don't get one that's much more clean than that. So we're looking at the October 2013 top, connecting that to the August 2021 top. And what do you know? Zoom in right here. We broke through in September 2025, cleanly backtested the top of this downtrend that has basically been setting up for 13 years. And now it looks to be bouncing. So this would tell me like, hey, maybe your bias should be that MIGI is going to be a strong stock and this is not financial advice, of course, but in the like short to mid term. And when you start looking at the macro things like the IWM, small caps, the macro environment in general, business cycle just looking like it's about to start waking up, there's a lot of reasons to believe that maybe a small cap stock like this could be a good buy potentially to be long into the short to mid term. Who knows, maybe the long term too. I don't know anything about the actual company, just looking at the technicals here. But guys, thank you for watching. And if this is more your thing, check out the link below to join Market Symmetry Pro.
What would it be worth to you to get access to my trade alerts that are based on high time frame, high probability setups in the charts and momentum oscillators? You'll also get access to me to request new charts or updated existing charts. And we're going to establish high time frame price targets that could be either to the upside or the downside. I then set up automated alerts in TradingView, and Market Symmetry Pro members are alerted immediately when they trigger. So if that sounds like something that would benefit you and your trading or investing, I look forward to seeing you inside.